He knows I hate him. He doesn't seem surprised to see me as he welcomes me with his trademark corporate grin. He never stops smiling at me. Not if we argued, not if we struggled, and not even when I pushed him to the floor and got my hands on him. I squeeze his neck until his eyes seem to pop from his head. He's got plenty of fight in him, but I have him pinned to his apartment floor. He manages to wiggle one of his arms out from under my knee. He then takes a swing at me that catches me in the shoulder as I tuck my chin. So I squeeze harder. I squeeze until my fingernails start to dig inside his fragile corporate skin. I squeeze until both of my hands fill with the pain of bitter satisfaction. Then I squeeze some more. So much, in fact, his windpipe finally gives. The crackling reminds me of Splinter and Sugarcane in South Carolina summers. The fight in him finally leaves his undernourished body, and even in this state he somehow looks better. Death becomes him. He wears it like a tailored suit on a Sunday morning. I stare at his lifeless body as he stares back at me with his lifeless eyes. I see his aura float away from the fresh kill of his bony carcass. It reminds me of how steam looks leaving the surface of just boiling water. I should get going, but my numb body won't move. We were buttered once. The gravity of what I've done hits my heart and makes me stop breathing for a time. A half a dozen seconds pass before I inhale sudden. The sensation of touch had returned to my once numb extremities. But now my hands are snitching. Both of my mitts quaver uncontrollably as new blood fills the veins in my fingertips. This blood also fills my hands with a pain I cannot measure, like an intense flame next to a frostbitten skin. This is crazy. Look what you made me do, I shout with a voice that cracks as I try not to cry. I need to get going and my body won't let me. I have got to calm down. Losing my cool means losing everything I know. I inhale through my nose and exhale through my mouth and wait for the adrenaline to wear off. All I can do as my heart rate finally slows is gaze at the blood that's under my fingernails. They say drinking the blood of an enemy gives you his powers. I contemplate that, as well as my own sanity for even considering it. A knock on the door breaks my concentration. Tap, tap, tap. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I say in a voice so low I barely move my mouth to say it. The green lights of his microwave say that it's 1:13 in the morning. But you're expecting company, I whisper as I take my attention off the clock and place it on him. He's still got that corporate smirk on his face, that fake-looking grin that turns the surface of the lips to the surface of the teeth. My attention then turns again to the now silent door. He always said that he would never give a spare key to anyone, but tap, tap, tap. Do I really want to trust a liar? I tiptoe over his strangled neck and silently make my way to the door. No surprise awaits me as I line my left eye with the pupil of glass. I know you. I think to myself as I secretly watch her impatiently wait. A little young for my taste, but she's absolutely gorgeous, even with this distorted view. I watch her like a stalker, holding my position, contemplating my next move. For if she has the key, I will have to kill her too. My plan was for one murder, not two. I continue to spy my other eye closed. I watch her while my heart pounds loud enough for her to almost hear. She has on a long trench coat and high-heeled red shoes. Just as I wonder if she has on any clothes underneath, she makes a move. She looked at her wristwatch and then pulls her cell phone from the deepness of her trench coat's pocket. This can't be good. Who else would she call but his corporate ass? If she hears his phone ring, she'll know he's here and just think he's sleeping. Not that he isn't. However, when all is said and done, I want the police to have a vague timeline, not a defined one. I must find his phone before it rings. His apartment is small and neat. So I go from section to section, scanning the room like a dog looking for a squirrel. Then I see it on his nightstand just as it lights up and I know it's too late. But it only vibrates quietly, just enough to move itself a few inches sideways. Oof. Again, I step over my fallen foe and put my left eye to the hole in the door. Her lips move sexy while she leaves him a voicemail he will never receive. She hanged up. She looked at the door disappointed and then leaves. I'm disappointed too. For me and this guy were supposed to reunite and change the game. This guy was welcomed to my family by my mother as one of her other children. This guy was the most intelligent man I knew, but money, power, envy, and vanity changed everything. Now it's time to get to work. I think about the increase in jail time when a murder is premeditated as I pull my supplies from my pickup truck. I pull a wheelchair out from the back first and unfold it so it's ready to roll. Then I take a plastic Halloween bag from the cab stuffed with goodies that says trick or treat. I place the bag in the wheelchair and dig for it for my mask. After my new look, I head back into my dead friend's apartment rolling the chair, bag, and my mask off with double time steps. He was still waiting. He was still smiling and his eyes were still open. No matter, I have been planning this for a year. I told him not to let any position he held or how much money he made let him think he could disrespect me. He did anyway. So I waited while he had the satisfaction of playing me like a sucker. The smile on his face almost professed that he knew I was coming. No matter. What's done is done. I have a nice resting spot for you in at the bottom of Floridian waters. But first we dress up. It's Halloween night and I chose this day so that I could transport his bony ass easily. Now that we're all dressed up, it's time to move. As I wipe his apartment down with ammonia and Pine-Sol, I lock the door behind us and then wheel his dead ass to the elevator. My truck is on the roof, just 2 flights up. Of course, the elevator stops on the next floor up. Some drunken couple gets on with us. They make an interesting couple. He is even skinnier than my dead friend and he nails his costume. He is dressed as Waldo from the Where's Waldo comic strip. They're staring at us as they enter the elevator, so I put the attention on me. Waldo, right? I say as the man looks at me, but the woman stares at my lifeless buddy. Who are you guys supposed to be? She says, cutting across her boyfriend's answer of yes. She makes a tandem and odd couple, for she had to be 400 pounds easy. She is dressed as a witch with a cleavage, friendly black velvet dress. I'm the Grim Reaper, and this is Death, I say to the suspicious-looking odd couple. The door opens on the roof, but they keep staring at my dead companion's masked face. What's his problem? Says the busty woman with glassy eyes staring. He's drunk and he's stuck in character. I say as we all exit the elevator. They exit to the roof as I do, and I look at my truck, my heart stops. For his beautiful booty call is next to my truck looking through the tinted windows. Jesus Christ. With her back turned to the doorway as I was rolling him through, I tried to backpedal to the elevator quickly. Thankfully, the elevator was still there, but she saw us. Hey! She screamed for about 20 yards away as I hit the button in a panic. I've never seen a fucking door open or close so slowly. As the elevator goes down, I can hear the fast-paced clicking of those high-heeled red shoes. Damn it! I say as the door opens slowly again. My acquaintance and I are now in a wheelchair race. I run full speed while his masked light bulb head flops wildly back and forth. We are at his apartment's front door and back to square one. I unlock the door and push us both in feverishly. Now we wait. Again, I try to control my breathing so she won't hear me if she comes to the door. I wait again with one eye on the peephole. Again, she appears on the opposite side of it. She doesn't knock this time. She just stares at the peephole as I stare back, almost like she knows, or does she? If she had a key, she would have used it by now. My common sense calls. So I try to relax my mind into a plan B. Quietly, I wheel him next to his TV, facing him to the living room couch. Then I take my mask off and sit down on the very couch he's facing. And there he sits, still peering at me with those open eyes through the holes of his mask. Kinda creepy. But with the mask on, I can't see his mouth at least. Interestingly enough, the mask I bought for him has a horrified face with that same corporate smile. Wow. I lay back and I try to relax. Somehow I fall asleep, with the last image in my head being that of my fallen comrade. Boom, boom, boom. I wait to a pounding at the door. Police, open up, son of a bitch. This can't be happening. The disorientation of just waking up makes me hope that I'm just paranoid. Boom, boom, boom. This is your last warning. I rush for my bag as I try to make sense of this. I pull out my true pal who never betrayed me, like the one that sits across from me staring. It's a .44 caliber snub-nosed bulldog, and we have been cool for a long time. Prison is not an option. I'm not built for or fit to be caged. I say, looking at him as I point the gun to the center of my brain. I say the Lord's Prayer silent as the cops scurry outside. Then I speak out loud so that the cops and my very dead pal can both hear me. All I ever wanted was for us to ball together. All I ever wanted was your respect. All I ever wanted was the brother my real life brother failed to be. He never answered me. He just sits, stares, and smiles as the cops burst through the door. I pull the trigger and see a brilliant flash of light before nothingness. Baby? Baby? My lady says, waking me up from my terrible dream. I hope you had a good nap because we have a bunch of cars pulling up to the house. Give him a minute. I say as I hit the closet and pull on my Grim Reaper outfit. The doorbell rang as we both made our way down the stairs. I hope you didn't invite him, she says and continues. You know he's not welcome here anymore. I say nothing, still a little shaken up my mind's vivid horror movie until I open the door, that is. I didn't invite him, and I didn't tell him or his circle about this party, and I certainly didn't know what he was wearing. But there he was in my doorway holding a .44 caliber snub-nosed bulldog, wearing that same horrified mask that possessed that same corporate smile. I'm speechless as he points the gun at me before screaming, Happy Halloween. One night, a young girl was sleeping in her bed when a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for a few minutes on her left cheek, then it went on its way. When she woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror, she noticed a red spot on her cheek. What's this? She asked her mother. It looks like a spider bite. Her mother replied, It will go away, just don't scratch it. Soon the small red spot grew into a big red boil. Look at it now, the girl said, it's getting bigger. That sometimes happens, her mother said, it comes to a head. In a few days, the red spot was even larger. Look at it now, the girl said, it hurts so much and it makes me look so ugly. We'll have a doctor look at it, her mother said, maybe it's infected. But the doctor couldn't see the girl until the next day. That night, she decided to take a relaxing bath, and as she lay soaking in the warm water, the boil suddenly burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs her mother had laid on her cheek. There was a young girl who was in need of a job, was able to find work as a babysitter for a couple who lived in a large, isolated old house. They were going out to see a movie that night and left the teenage babysitter in charge of their 3 young children. The babysitter put the children to bed when it got late and then went downstairs to watch some television. She was just getting comfortable when she heard the phone ring. When she answered it, all she heard was heavy breathing followed by a man's voice asking, Have you checked on the children? Freaked out, she hung up the phone, trying to convince herself that it was just someone playing a practical joke on her. She went back to watching television, but about 15 minutes later, the phone rang again. She picked up the receiver and heard hysterical laughter from the other end of the line. Then the same voice asked, Why haven't you checked on the children? The babysitter slammed down the phone. The poor girl was frightened out of her wits and immediately called the police. The operator at the police station told the babysitter that if the man called again, she should try to keep him talking. That would give the police time to trace the call. A few minutes later, the phone rang a third time, and when the babysitter answered it, she heard the heavy breathing again. The voice on the line said, You should really check on the children. The babysitter listened to him, laughing hysterically for a long time. She hung up the phone again, and almost immediately it rang again. This time, it was the operator from the police station who yelled, Get out of the house right now. The calls are coming from the upstairs phone. The babysitter dropped the phone in shock, and suddenly she heard heavy footsteps walking down the stairs. Without pausing for a second, she ran out of the house as fast as her leg would carry her. Just as she closed the front door behind her, a man's hand slammed against the glass. She screamed and ran out into the street just as the police car was pulling up outside. The police searched the house and found the 2 children upstairs hiding in the closet, crying uncontrollably. In the parents' bedroom, they found a bloody axe lying on the floor next to the upstairs phone. The back window was wide open and the curtains were blowing in the breeze. There was no sign of the madman who made the phone calls. He had escaped into the night when the police arrived and managed to interrupt his horrible plan to kill the 2 children and the poor babysitter.